Yes, this is how we roll in this African village. Yes, movement is the key to life. If you want to get up and just move your body, do so. Just for 30 seconds. You never know how good you're going to feel. Yes. Creative love intelligence moving through your body. Oh, blessings, blessings to Grandmother Moon, Grandfather Sun, Mother Earth, Father Sky, Spirit of the Wind. Oh, the Fire Nation, the Water Nation, the Stone Nation, the Plant People. Yes. Life is good. Oh, life is good. Zuluzan is here. AmaZulu sewafiki.
Sawubona, you creative visionary. Igama lami uThembelihle intombi yakaButhelezi. My ancestors have named me Bringer of Good Hope. My mission on planet Earth is to plant seeds of good hope within the soul of humanity. Within the soul of humanity. So 10 months ago, I moved from the US. I sold everything. And I decided to just go and explore the world uninhibited by assets, by stuff. Cars, homes, furniture, clothes, handbags, all that stuff, you know? I just wanted to explore life. I wanted to explore consciousness uninhibited by attachments to friends, attachments to family, attachments to my egoic idea of what I think I should be and what I think I should achieve in life. The kind of work I should be doing that would make me happy and make me a lot of money. I decided to just detach from that. I can't say that that change experience was an easy one. I cannot say that change experience and that death and rebirth experience was easy. I cannot. It was a dark night of the soul and a transition and a transformation from within that was gut-wrenching most days. And now that I'm emerging from a very profound spiritual awakening and shift in consciousness of who I thought I was as a human being to whom I am remembering I am and truly embodying that, not just remembering the ancient wisdom of my ancestors through stories, but like living it, embodying it, and being totally present to it, has been an incredible transformational experience, but also just a very lonely journey, a very isolated journey, a very painful journey, but a very exhilarating journey. So the sun is just coming up. Oh my God, the sun is just coming up. So throughout this journey of just awakening and changing and growing as a spiritual being, having a spiritual experience in human form on planet Earth, I returned back to the practice of sun worship. In Africa, we wake up every morning and we go outside and we worship the sun. We're so grateful for the sun coming out, right? We're just like, oh, sun. That's why our skin has got so much melanin. We just are so connected to the sun. We are the people of the sun. AmaZulu, people of the sun, people of the heavens. That's what AmaZulu means. That's why whenever I open up a video, whenever I greet somebody, I always say sawubona, meaning I see the beauty of divinity in you. I see the beauty, the radiance of the sun, of love, of creativity, of love and intelligence and beauty. So It's been so amazing moving from America to Asia and living in such a lush environment where I can just practice sun worship, living in the jungle, where I can just like stand outside and be naked and nobody sees me because there's nobody, literally nobody around, very few people around. But it's just been such a beautiful and healing experience for my integration process. So during the process of COVID, I know a lot of souls woke up and said, this is not what I signed up for. I thought life was going to be this, 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 and this. And if I had this, this, and this, I would be completely happy and life would be amazing. I felt that move and awakening in the consciousness of humanity 5 years before COVID in 2015. I'd started participating in ayahuasca ceremonies in 2015. And each ayahuasca ceremony I went into, each ceremony, each shamanic experience I went through, whoa, it was just like more information, more information, more information of seeing where we are going and where we're heading and what's happening for us, through us, as this human experience. And it got scarier and scarier and scarier. It truly got scary. I had to stop taking ayahuasca for a bit because every ayahuasca experience I went through, or every ayahuasca experience, I allowed Mother Ayahuasca to speak through me, to speak to me, to show me the parts of me that needed healing from trauma, that needed awakening, that needed activation. The more I felt so hopeless, the more I felt so overwhelmed. I think that's actually the proper term. Overwhelmed by the sadness of humanity and the sadness of the world. I just felt overwhelmed. I started seeing everything. I started speaking about these experiences with people, you know, and I wasn't very discerning in whom I was sharing my experiences with after an ayahuasca ceremony. And in not being discerning, I shared my information, this sacred wisdom, with people who are not ready to hear it. So they'd be like, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. Stop taking ayahuasca. You're crazy. And that was very hurtful and very discouraging. And because I was like, no, I'm sharing what's going to happen. I don't know when these changes are going to happen. I don't know when this thing is going to happen, but something big is going to happen then. And I think you've got to be very discerning in who you share your greatest spiritual awakenings with. In Zulu, we say, isambulelo sakho is like a seed, meaning divine downloads are like seeds that you've got to plant in the soil and just let them germinate and just let them, and in their due season, they will, emerge. So we have a lot of souls awakening as a result of this COVID experience, as a result of this change. So much uncertainty. And since moving to this island here in Asia, I live on a United Nations island, meaning there's people from all over the world. Right now, we have a lot of Russian brothers and sisters that are living on the island because they're running away from the war, they're running away from being drafted. And, my heart sometimes is just so overwhelmed with compassion and so overwhelmed with grief. And this is like my codependency when I start taking on people's stuff and people's emotions. And then I have to check myself. I'm like, this is not my stuff. This is not my stuff. I can be of service, activate hope, activate the hope that healing is possible, that balance and reconciliation and forgiveness and love for thyself and mental health is possible. That is my job. That is my job. Anything else is not my job. But like being on a United Nations island where we have the Russians, we have the Israelis that are also coming from a traumatized, war-torn zone. We have a lot of Europeans on this island from everywhere, Spaniards, we have Austrians, we have British people, every, I think, Hungarians, Romanians, it's so many. And then we have the Africans, and then not a lot of Americans, few Americans. I've met a woman from Mexico. So yeah, I live on an island where it's United Nations. And the beauty of living on such a small island of just people from all over the world is that you start to appreciate the human experience in its totality. When you live in your country, like I grew up in South Africa during apartheid, I thought I was the only person in the world that was experiencing civil war, that was experiencing hell on earth, right? Because we become so isolated in our own hell. When you start traveling and when you start living in other countries and when you start speaking to people from other nationalities, from other parts of the world, you start to realize that the human experience, oh, the sun, oh my gosh, blessings, blessings, blessings from Father Sky, from Grandfather Sun, blessings, blessings, blessings from Grandfather Sun, yay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Morning, morning, morning. Okay, I have these moments with the sun. I have these moments with the sun. Okay, so let's get back to this experience. What you start to see is that the human experience is the same. We all have trauma. We all have been through war on some level, whether you didn't personally live through war. Maybe your grandparents lived through war. Maybe your parents lived through war. Maybe, your great-grandparents lived through war. So war lives, and trauma, and that trauma of that war lives in your DNA. It lives in your electromagnetic field. So we're all carrying this trauma, walking around in this world, engaging with each other in this trauma, with our depressions, with our anxieties, with our borderline personality disorder, with our narcissism, with our sociopathies, with our mother never loved me wounds and my daddy never loved me wounds. And there was so much trauma and so much hatred in my country. And we're just like swimming in this ocean of trauma, And we're just like overwhelmed. It was just like overwhelmed, especially after COVID. It's taken me 7 years after my experiences with Mother Earth to finally go, okay, I somewhat, maybe like 0.0% understand like what I'm going through and the hells I'm going through and what these hells mean and what my depressions mean and what this anger and this rage means I'm just starting to figure this stuff out. And sometimes when I think I've figured it out, that's when I realize I know nothing. I know nothing. And then I just go into this dark abyss of just hopelessness and sadness, and the world is going to end, and there's so much sadness in the world and so much problems. And then I just fizzle out into negativity, and then I have to get back to center through meditation, envisioning and prayer and chanting and forgiveness work and playing my crystal balls. So I've decided to start the Future Gen Leaders YouTube channel. Because I've been meeting a lot of beautiful souls who are questioning, which is so beautiful. I love visionaries question. Visionaries question. This is what I love about working with visionaries or being around visionaries, being surrounded by visionaries, is that visionaries question. They question everything from the life they've lived back home to the life they're living now, the choices they're making, even though it's not 100%, just 10%, 5% questioning just allows you to have a different experience in this life. So recently I've been meeting a lot of young, beautiful, beautiful souls, male and female. And these souls, some of them have started mindfulness practice. They started it during COVID because they were depressed, they were suicidal, they were going through this awakening experience during the middle of COVID. Everything they believed was real is no longer real. It's like, oh my God, what the hell is happening? What am I going to die? A lot of am I going to die? Are I didn't die, I didn't die. I'm like, why are you so afraid of death? But I've had to deal with that stuff. I've had to ask myself those questions. I've had to go deeper, and there's still parts of me that are like, yo, I'm freaked out about death. And I still have to like calm myself down and work through that. So in the past 3 months, I've met about 14 souls, just beautiful souls, late 20s into early 30s, like 35, 30, all up to 40, even 41. And these souls are just like now open their consciousness. Like the consciousness is open from mindfulness, and they are spending 10 days in Vipassana meditation practicing. They have gone vegan, they are practicing yoga, they are, activating their creative sense. These are people that are neuroscientists, some of them. They left Europe as neuroscientists, and they're like now on the island, just living their life, practicing meditation, drumming, engaging in all sorts of incredible activities. And what I've noticed is the common experiences we have on our awakening journey. So when I seriously committed to this journey of awakening, I started with Vipassana meditation. So I left South Africa for America. And for the first time, I was free to have an independent thought without my family, without somebody breathing down my neck, telling me what I should believe about God. I'm very grateful for my parents and their spiritual practice and their dedication to spiritual practice. But that can get a little bit overwhelming when you're growing up in a Christian environment that doesn't honor the ancestors. Okay, nothing to be judgmental about. That's the upbringing I had. So when I moved to America, it was the first time I could actually have an independent thought without my mother going, hey, you need to get back in line with Christianity. Have you read your Bible and all of this stuff, right? It was the first time I could have an independent thought of, oh my goodness, I can read a Sufi text and just enjoy it. I can read the Quran and not have my dad go, did you read your Bible today? Stop reading that book. I was free, right? So I'm living in the US and I'm like, wow. So I was studying psychology and finance. And in one of my first psychology classes, one of my professors was talking about the opening and the expansion of consciousness. And he said, one of the best ways I've been able to expand consciousness is through the practice of Vipassana. I said, what is that? I'm an African. It's kind of my first year in America. I'm like, what? Vipassana? I have no idea what that is. So my professor is like, it's a 10-day retreat. You can just go sit and do nothing, but focus on within. He said, you're going to have a surgery, an emotional surgery from within. I was like, what is that? I'm studying psychology, but like, what is an emotional surgery? I've never even heard of anything like this. Then I went to Vipassana. It was an emotional surgery for reals. It was a surgery of the mind. Because for the first time, I could sit for 10 days and just focus on within and just be quiet. Just focus on my breath for 3 days straight. Who gets the luxury to do that? Focus on your breath for 3 days straight. Okay, nobody gets the luxury to do that. Most people don't even focus on their breath for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. So I got the luxury to focus on my breath for 3 days straight, 10 hours of the day, so about 30 hours. Focusing on my breath, just here. This is not even like the breath all over the place. It was just the breath in this area of my face, just my nostrils, just breath coming in and out. It was such an incredible experience. And then day 4 to day 10, that's when the practice gets deeper and you start experiencing sensations all over your body. And the whole practice of Vipassana is to sit with those sensations and allow those sensations to just rise and pass away. Rise and pass away. So I practiced Vipassana for like 13 years straight, 2 hours a day, no joke. 2 hours a day, sometimes 5 hours, sometimes 10 hours. Sometimes I would go to Vipassana and sit in Vipassana for 20 days and just be like in a cell and sit and meditate 2 hours, 10, 14 hours a day, 18 hours a day. I am grateful for that experience. So freaking grateful for that experience. But if you are not working on your traumas, as you are meditating and awakening, the trouble comes when your mind is so still that the irritations and the sadnesses and the traumas and the hurts and the wounds of childhood start arising, and you don't have the skills to work through this pain, the anger, the rage, the sadness. Yes, you can observe those sensations. You can observe those memories, observe that pain, observe that trauma, but sometimes it just doesn't pass away. So the first Vipassana practice I took was with Goyenke. I've always taken Vipassana with Goyenke. And it was always anicca, 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 meaning this moment shall pass, this too shall pass. Yes, this is a truth of life. Impermanence is a truth of life. This too shall pass. Anicca, 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 this too shall pass. However, I'm sorry, if you grew up in civil war, if you grew up in an abusive situation at home where your parents were beating each other up, if you grew up in a situation at home where your parents were yelling at each other, verbal abuse, if you grew up in a foster home, if you were abandoned on some level, everybody feels abandoned. If you say you don't feel abandoned, you lie a lot. Everybody feels abandoned. It is the trauma of humanity, okay? Abandonment wounds. I find that the more you sit in Vipassana, the more you do the practice, yes, it's good. But it's bringing up this trauma because the mind now becomes so still in mindfulness, so still. So now you have the time to be mindful. Oh, I have a sensation here. Oh, maybe that's anger. Oh, interesting. Maybe that's pain. Maybe that's grief. Maybe that's jealousy. Maybe that's sadness. Maybe that's disgust. And maybe that's despair. And maybe that's hopelessness. Oh, right? Because you've given your mind enough time to be still. So now it can start feeling the pain, because trauma all lives in the body. The memories of trauma, the sensations of trauma, the feelings, the everything of trauma lives in your electromagnetic field and on your body. So the more we practice Vipassana, which is such a noble path. I love Buddhism. I absolutely love Buddhism because it is the path of self-liberation. Self-liberation. I'm grateful that I grew up in a Christian home because it taught me structure and discipline and prayer and all of these good stuff. But we're always still praying to something outside of ourselves. Jesus. Jesus, help me. In the name of Jesus, help me. I believe in Christ consciousness. This I believe, Christ consciousness. But the idea of Jesus is quite interesting, especially as a Black woman, going, why is Jesus white with long flowy hair? Why is Jesus not Black? There's usually a lot of friction in the mind. If you've grown up in a very strict religious home, and then you leave and you start exploring, there's a lot of friction in the mind. And then when you start exploring more and you're going deeper into your meditations, going deeper into your awakening, what starts happening is you start remembering the trauma and then the pain and the wounds of childhood. And if you don't have the skills or the tools to be able to work through your spiritual awakening, your dark night of the soul, your darknesses, the depressions, when you start seeing the sadnesses of the world and the suffering of the world and your own suffering, if you don't have the tools to be able to lovingly hold yourself, compassionately witness yourself, walk with yourself, it becomes a bit of a living nightmare. It truly becomes a bit of a living nightmare. I think this is when people join cults, which everywhere around the world there are cults. And what I found about these communities, okay, let's just call them communities and not cults, because there's a lot everywhere around the world, is that they prey on the vulnerability of your awakening experience. They truly prey on that vulnerabilities. When you're awakening, it means you've been on planet Earth for a long time. You've been doing this life experience for a long time. You kind of know what's happening. And if you're having intense awakening experiences and then you're running to Vipassana and you're running to the temples, that is amazing. It means your past lifetimes are activating, or your parallel lifetimes are activating. And you're like, yo, I was probably a monk in a past lifetime. I remember this. This is why I'm on this island, like meditating and doing all of these strange things. It's not strange. You've done this in a past lifetime. But what I found and I've noticed is that there's a lot of distorted teachers who take advantage of people's awakening, especially women. They take advantage of your awakening journey, of your awakening experience. They try to scam you for money. They tell you sad stories about their personal problems. They want to have sex with you. It's just a whole fucking shit show. It's the same with men. Men are being taken advantage of in these guru communities with, I am the guru, shanti shanti, I am the guru, you know, give me all your money, I'll give you magic, I'll make you very successful in business. Give me, if for women, it's like, let's have sex and I'll make you very powerful. And it's, people are taking advantage of people's awakening experience, awakening journey. I mean, I got myself involved in a cult. I mean, Scientology is a bit of a cult, but that lasted a month. I swear to you. And I think this is how they get you when you're in a new country, new city, new experience, change, COVID. You kind of like confused. A lot of people are confused at the moment. A lot of people are confused. A lot of people that I'm speaking to, it doesn't matter whether I'm in an airport or whether I'm on the island or whether I'm in a city. It's like, tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do. I swear to you, this is what I'm seeing. This is what, every time, tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. Because COVID was such a massive change. People are confused. So in this confusion, in this awakening, in this like, oh my God, I thought life would be this. It's not this. Like, I don't know what to do. It's easy to be lured into these cults. Like when I first moved to America, it was Scientology. I was on the campus, university campus, and I was stressed out. And these people are good, right? These people are good. Not that there's any shame in this, but you've got to study cults. If you study cults, you understand great marketing. I love cults because they teach me great marketing. Honestly, they teach me great marketing. And so cult people will market to you in the most eloquent way. So Scientology people would come onto the campus during exam time. They know that all the students are stressed out. They know that your grades need to be in, all of your papers need to be done. You're studying, you have a boyfriend, you are still clubbing, you're still drinking, and you're stressed out and all sorts, overwhelmed, all sorts. So they would come on the campus a month before exams and they'd make you hold these tins, okay? And they'd be like, oh, you're so stressed out. This meter thing would start. And then they'll start studying in the Scientology books, and then they start recruiting you to come to the Scientology meetings, and then they start recruiting you to come to church, and then they start recruiting you to start taking classes. This is how it all works. And I've been in a lot of these cults, a lot. I love studying people. So this is the thing with cults. This is the thing with these kinds of sick communities. And it's really sick people. Sometimes these distorted teachers really do have pure codes. They have pure codes. But they haven't dealt with their own traumas from childhood. So they use this beautiful ancient wisdom and these codes to control, manipulate, get money out of people, have sex with people because they are sick of themselves. They are sick themselves. So this is how I think people are getting caught up in these experiences. Vipassana for me was my saving grace. After growing up in apartheid, I was really mental. I was like depressed all the time. I couldn't sleep for 7 years. I was hyper vigilant. I was scared. I was a nightmare. I couldn't sleep. I used to just see people coming to try to kill me every fucking night for 7 years. So Vipassana gave me the time to just look at each sensation, each fear, each memory as it arose, and could guide myself just by speaking to myself. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. I need you. I need you. I need you. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. Studying psychology allowed me to have tools to be able to work through some of the traumatic memories that I was experiencing. Putting myself in therapy and having somebody to talk to allowed me to process some of the painful things that I couldn't even speak about. Some really painful stuff that I was like, I saw people's heads rolling down the street. No fucking child at 12 years old should see that kind of stuff, you know? And everything has its place. And I think sometimes when we are really confused and we are really depressed and we are really just seeking, we think one thing and one thing only is going to save us. And when that thing does not save us, because it takes a village of healers and seers and philosophers and knowledge people to help you out in this life experience thing, we feel so disappointed and so disillusioned and so defeated and so abandoned by God, abandoned by life, abandoned by our people. My family never supported me. My family never loved me. This and this. My friends, my husband, my wife, my church, my sangha, my synagogue. It doesn't. We just feel so in our darkness. Even when the sun rises, you can't even appreciate that. So I've been meeting a lot of people that are just going through this change experience, this just awakening experience. And it's the trauma with the change, with COVID, with the toxic relationships. It's just a lot. It's just a lot. So since I've been living on the island, I've been practicing Zulu Zen. I try to practice every morning. Sometimes I can't because I'm traveling around Asia. But I always just spend at least 10 minutes just out and just worshipping the sun, even if I can't practice a whole hour or 30 minutes of Zulu Zen. I practice Zulu Zen with the sun because I get the blessings from the sun and I can give my gratitude back to the sun. I can give my gratitude back to Father Sky. I can give my gratitude back to Mother Earth. I can give my gratitude to the spirit of the wind for allowing me to breathe, So now I'm ready to share Zulu Zen as a practice with humanity. So how Zulu Zen is going to work is that we're going to practice meditation and we're going to practice a sound bath. I found that during change, sound frequency allows us to heal. And sometimes when we are in the thick of change and change is hard for us, it's just difficult to even think. That's why we have so many people with so many degrees, so much work experience, so many certifications, and they're still going around going, tell me what to do. I don't know what to do. And it's not funny. I see the pain in their soul, like in the eyes. I see the pain in the eyes. I see the confusion. And it's not funny. This is when people commit suicide. So I've lived my own hell. And I'm still walking through every day. I'm still walking. That's why I sit outside every morning and I thank you, Father Sky. Thank you, Grandfather Sun. Yo, it's another day. I made it. I'm alive. Let's celebrate. So I'm going to share Zulu Zen as a practice because I seem to have the same conversations with people on the island, on airplanes, in trains, coffee shops. Some people allow me to record the conversations because they're like fascinating, and they're like, yeah, sure, whatever, you can film it. So you'll get some of these conversations on our YouTube page and on our Future Gen Leaders website. But I really just want to focus on Zulu Zen. Let's just get to the Zen. So the Zen is going to allow us to calm our nervous system down, whether it's in the morning or in the evening. The Zulu wisdom is going to allow us to connect to the truths that live within us, the truths of life. Every morning, the sun is out blessing you, blessing you, blessing you, blessing you. You can either sit in your depressions, in your sadness, in your hopelessness, or you can either get outside and just get 10 minutes of sun blessing. Vitamin D, you're going to feel real good. Depression will lift. Okay? So we're going to have those truths, those mystical truths that connect us to our truths as spiritual beings having a spiritual experience in a human body. And then we're going to have some tree therapy where we're going to ask ourselves empowering questions. It's so important to ask yourself empowering questions on a daily basis. What did I learn about myself today? How have I grown? What would I like to see expand in my life? What would I like to no longer engage in? How do I feel today? Was that an experience that I would like to experience again? Do I like this food? Ooh, how would I like to grow? What book would I like to read? You know? How can I grow in my way of communication? How can I grow in my way of how I show up in the world? How can I take more space in this world? How can I stop valuing myself? How can I have more self-esteem? I love empowering questions because empowering questions allows you to break out of your box. Box living is hell living. Say it with me. Box living is hell living. Yes, this is hell. You don't need to die and go to hell. If you are not changing, if you are not going for your dreams, if you are not connected to your soul's purpose, if you are not happy, I'm sorry, you're living in a box of hell. You're waiting to die before you go to hell. No, you're already in hell. You don't need to die. You're already dying. Actually, you're already dead. You're just waiting to check out. Life is beautiful. Life is creative. Life is joyful. Life, living in the jungle has taught me that the birds don't apologize. They sing all day long. They sing to welcome the sun every morning. The chickens and the roosters and the birds, everybody is celebrating the day. All of creation is celebrating the day. So I've come to be very connected to this wisdom and the intelligence of Earth and the intelligence of the universe. And I'm very grateful for this because, wow, when you understand this, depression lifts. When you understand this, anxiety lifts. You're like, no, I'm connected to Mother Earth. Mother Earth supports me. There's nothing that can go wrong because like Mother Earth supports me. Even if something goes wrong, I'll be able to get up on my feet and walk again. Wow, the sky calls me up higher. Every time I look, every time I feel low, every time I feel sad, every time I feel like defeated and I'm just walking around like this and I'm just like, whoa, man, life is sad, man, depression everywhere. My sadness is everywhere. No, Father Sky says, look up. Look up, look up. You are bigger than this problem, right? And every time when it's dark and I'm confused, it's like nighttime. It's like, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to make decisions. Grandmother Moon is always there in the dark times. Dark night of the soul, transition, spiritual awakening, ascension symptoms, whatever darkness you are going through, depression, grief, divorce, change you are going through, that is just hellish. Grandmother Moon is always lighting the way, saying, look, look, look up, look up, look up. There's a light, just keep walking. Eventually the sun will come out. And then grandfather son says, I keep blessing you with the blessings of 1 billion sons. I keep blessing you with the blessings of 1 billion sons. I keep them blessing you with the blessings of 1 billion sons. How could you not have faith? How could you not have faith? How could you not know that you are connected, you are provided for, and you're protected? How could you not know? But I've lived in this ignorance where I didn't know. I thought my degrees would get me far. I thought that, my education, my experiences, my smartness and stuff like this. But when you go through a huge change experience, especially because we've all gone through this huge change experience, I think it's very important to give yourself compassion, a whole lot of compassion, okay? A whole lot of compassion. And say, I'm just going to walk through this journey daily, and I'm going to see how far it gets me. And it is my intention to have these deep conversations about religion, awakening from religious psychosis. So many young people are awakening from religious psychosis, and they're like, there is no place, especially as a Black woman, to speak about meditation, to speak about mindfulness, to speak about African spirituality, to speak about my ancestors. There's no place. I don't feel safe. When I try to speak to my parents, they shut it down. I met a beautiful young girl from Rwanda whose parents moved from Rwanda during the Rwanda genocide, and they moved to Holland. And she was like, I've started meditating because I started seeing these YouTube videos, but I want to have this conversation about religion. And anytime I try to bring it to my mother, she just shuts it down. She shuts it down. My brother tried to commit suicide. And I was like, I need to find something to help my brother with these depression and every time I would try to speak to my parents about this, they would just quote the Bible, hit us with the Bible on the head. And I was like, this is not working. We need therapy. We need something else. And when I was having this conversation with this young African goddess, I was like, I know that experience. Awakening in America was a lonely journey, a freaking lonely journey, especially as an African woman, because most of these things I used to go do by myself. Most of these retreats I used to go do by myself. Most of these sitting in cells and caves, I still do by myself. And now that I'm meeting all these beautiful goddesses, not even just only from Africa, from all over the world, I'm just recognizing that, future gen leaders can be the home for sovereign introspection, sovereign leadership, not being attached to a certain religious dogma or doctrine, because I've studied a lot. From Islam to Christianity, I went to ministerial school, now I'm studying to become a nun. It's amazing. It's amazing. Well, I started my nun journey quite some time ago. With ministerial school, it was going hand in hand with ministerial school, hand in hand. So now I'm just getting to practice. It's not about a certificate. You're a nun, you're a pastor. Who cares about these stupid certificates? For me, it's just the experience of actually walking through the initiation period, the initiation experience of humbling myself to ancient wisdom. So now I'm excited that I can share Zulu Zen. I am not your guru. I am not your teacher. I'm not your shaman. I'm not your healer. I'm not your prayer warrior. I'm nothing to you. Okay? Nothing. Okay? I am my own spiritual being, having my own spiritual experience in my own human body, and I'm walking my own path, and I'm inviting you to walk side by side with me, meaning we're going to meditate together, we're going to do our tree therapy together, and we're going to do our Zulu wisdom together. How about this? Okay? Because then you cannot blame me for your problems. You cannot say, oh, I went to Zulu Zen and now I had great progress, and now I don't have progress anymore. Oh, this is the journey of awakening. Some days you have elevated highs where you touch the face of divinity, you touch the face of God. And some days you're deep in the dungeons and the dark dungeons of depression and suicide and all sorts of these things. It's about coming to the happy medium, equilibrium, equanimous mind. Whether you are sinking down, you know how to bring yourself back to balance. Whether you're elated, you know how to bring yourself back to balance. Whether you're looking at all the suffering in the world and you're like, this world is fucked. I don't know how we're going to get out of this situation and bring yourself back to balance. And this too shall pass. We're entering a golden age. It's beautiful. I call forth the beauty, the creativity, the intelligence, and the goodness. This is what's coming through. This is what's coming through. This is what's coming through. This is what's being birthed as all of us, as the chosen ones, for ushering humanity through this bridge of just being asleep to this awakening experience and going, yo, life is good, life is creative, life is joy. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for participating in episode number 1. So in episode number 2, we are going to start Zuluzan, and we're going to go straight into practice. I'm excited. It's a challenge. We're going to see how far we grow. It's exciting. So, Amazulu, Ayabo. Amazulu, bless you and your ancestors for all of eternity. I love you. I love you. I love you. Whatever has brought us together is for a higher and nobler cause. I appreciate you, and I thank the universe for having you in my world and me in your world today. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Zulu Zen. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.